Chop on, Braves Nation, and welcome back to Down to the Wire, the #1 Braves sports talk radio show in the great wide world. I'm Brian Costa, a.k.a. Charlie Freeman's godfather, joined alongside Tyler Stringfellow, a.k.a. Ronald Acuna's cousin. Tyler, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm pretty good. I'm so confused now.
Well, Tyler,
oh my
God,
I know I flew to Atlanta.
Well, Tyler, welcome to Atlanta. We're touching down in Braves territory because today, man, we have some great Braves sports talk for you today, as well as some other stuff going on. But I think it's important that we talk about America's favorite baseball team right now as they're facing the lowly Houston Astros. So, Tyler, I don't know if you got the chance to watch the World Series last night, but our favorite team absolutely dominated for them last night. They ended up winning by a score of 6-2. Started off by a blast of a home run by Jorge Soler. Did you catch the game? How'd you feel about it?
I did really enjoy that game. It was phenomenal. I think their hitting was amazing, and it seemed like their entire rotation when it came to their bats was incredible. They were knocking in runs like it was nobody's business. And then I also read earlier today that the leadoff home run.
Oh yeah.
Was the first, leadoff home run, first off at bat in
World
Series history.
Yeah.
It's the first one to ever happen. Someone hits a home run off the first at bat in the World Series.
Now,
that's pretty cool.
Now I don't know if it was first at bat, but I know it was first swing, which makes it very impressive. Jorge Soler, obviously came up. It
says he hit a home run in the top of the first inning, becoming the first player in Major League history to hit a homer, and the very first at bat of a World Series game.
Really, I'm surprised that hasn't happened.
Was it hit? So was it his first at bat, or
it was
or did he lead off?
He led off the game. He was Jorge Soler led it off in Houston with an absolute blast off Farmerville. Yeah. Wow, I'm surprised that hasn't happened sooner. That's actually insane. But obviously, last night's game, while the Braves did take home the dub and went up 1-0 in the series, we did unfortunately lose, one of the hearts, one of the, the biggest, pieces of our rotation. Charlie Morton, unfortunately now has a broken fibula and will miss the remainder of the series. I don't know if you caught that, but Yuli Gurriel ended up hitting a ball off him that was 102.4 miles an hour. It was a comebacker, hit right off his right ankle, and it was a pretty nasty one. And everyone was wondering, oh, what the hell's happening here? What's going to go down? And it turns out that he ended up going out. He finished that inning, and then he proceeded to strike out, I believe, two to three more batters.
He struck out 2 batters.
Yeah, including
and
one of
which then there was just a line out.
Yeah, one of which being Jose Altuve. So we managed to strike.
I hate that guy.
Yeah, so he managed to strike him out on a pitch where his ankle literally gave way.
Yeah, he fractured his fibula.
Yeah.
That's one of the bigger bones in your leg, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, no, it's a big one.
I'm not a scientist, but
it's a big one.
That's pretty sure that's pretty important.
Oh yeah. No, and here's the thing. Like it's not like this man fractured something like higher up in his leg. He's pushing as a pitcher, you have to think about the leg, that one you're landing on, and also the one you're pushing off of. He was still touching.
Which leg was it? Was his leg?
It was his right leg. So the leg he's pushing off of the mound with. So he's pushing off of a broken leg, which is insane.
No,
so
that's not good.
Yeah. So when he did it, and he came down, you saw his ankle give way, and it was pretty bad. But even with that, with a broken leg, this man managed to pitch 96 miles an hour on one of his last pitches. Now and then he proceeded to drop a nasty 80 mile an hour curveball to Jose Altuve.
I think that's gonna go down as one of the more impressive feats in MLB history, because you see guys, like in sports, they break something and they continue to play. Like I remember a couple years ago, Carson Wentz tore his ACL, proceeded to play one more play.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do in a torn ACL. And you got the Red Sox, the bloody sock game.
Oh yeah, no,
everything like that.
I was about to say, for pitchers, this isn't going to be like, this isn't going to really be like, Kurt Schilling bloody sock, because that was something in and of itself. Kurt Schilling did in that game was, so that was like Herculean. We had never seen that before.
But this is incredible.
I mean, obviously he made it into the third inning, and he pitched, and he threw 16 pitches off a broken leg. And on the 16th pitch, unfortunately for him, it just gave way, which, it was going to have to do at that point. Like, he wasn't gonna be able to make it like that
he couldn't go. No, he couldn't go anymore.
No, I felt terrible.
Poor guy.
I felt terrible for him. But, obviously the Braves, I guess, were able to rally enough behind that and ended up getting the Game 1 dub, which was really great for them. I'm really happy for them. They've been able to party like it's 1999 so far. Hopefully we can party soon like it's 1995 and actually celebrate a championship, especially against this Houston Astros team, which just
nobody likes.
Nobody freaking likes them. And, listen, as a, I still consider myself a Red Sox fan. I know this is a Braves podcast now, but they're my AL team. No, I'm joking. But obviously, the reason everyone is now considering the Atlanta Braves to be, their team that they're rooting for in the World Series. And, as soon as they made it, everyone said, okay, the Braves are America's team. Because when it was coming down to it and it had to be, okay, like everyone was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a 2017 World Series rematch, Dodgers, Astros, and there was going to be so much bad blood, which was going to go down. And frankly,
that would have been a great
frankly,
series.
From a media standpoint, I would have loved to see that just because of what that would have done for numbers. That would have been
Dodgers.
Yeah. Listen, they won the World Series last year during a Mickey Mouse 60-game regular season where none of their guys had to face fatigue. And guess what? On paper, yeah, they are the best roster, probably ever assembled. I
just don't like LA teams.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I feel like if you had to have given people the opportunity to say like, okay, it's LA versus Houston, which was banging on trash cans and doing whatnot, I feel like everyone was just going to throw their hands up in the air and just say like, okay, this is a lose-lose situation. I don't want any of these teams to win.
No,
but Atlanta, being from New England,
an underdog.
Yeah, they're an underdog. I mean, they only won 88 games this year, and also being from New England, we've seen some of the struggles that Atlanta has had from time to time. Unfortunately,
Poor Atlanta.
Yeah,
Poor Atlanta. The Falcons just keep blowing lead after lead, man.
No, they just get absolutely clowned on, and I obviously think a 28-3, and one of the greatest upset in the history of sports. The biggest choke job that we've ever seen in the National Football League, but. I gotta say, I'm rooting for Atlanta in this one. I have to. I mean, regardless of what you think of them and you think of their fan base, they feel like a team of destiny. And again, being a New England fan, what they kind of remind me of is, they remind me of you talked about Carson Wentz tearing his ACL. They remind me of that Philadelphia Eagles team where.
Oh, yeah.
No one thought they in any right that they should have been where they were, especially with all the injuries they've had. They lost Ronald Acuna during the middle of the year. They lost their star pitcher Mike Soroka to a repeated torn Achilles, which is absolutely brutal for that guy. To tear it once, in any sport, it's very difficult to come back from an Achilles injury. And if you can do it, it's like wow.
Impressive.
It's like, wow, you made it back. Like you are so lucky that you made it back, and even to be a shell of your former self.
Yeah, because you see guys in the NFL specifically, like running backs, they tear ACL, Achilles, anything like that. And what's the biggest question that goes into the offseason? Are they going to come back as the same person? You see it with, remember, a couple years ago, Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
And then he ended up winning the MVP. And then you got Saquon Barkley this year specifically.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, Achilles is, everyone talks about the ACL. The ACL at this point has become a fairly routine injury that, enough people can do it where you get back. And luckily that's the case where that wasn't always the case.
You like to see it.
But, with the Achilles, man, it's still such a delicate procedure. And, in the NBA especially, you think of some of the guys that have had injuries with it. One guy that comes to mind is Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins of the formerly of the Kings and the Pelicans. When he ended up tearing his Achilles, everything changed with that man. He went from being, one of the more dominant big men in the league to
absolutely nothing.
He's just a role player now, unfortunately. He is a nothing now. And,
you hate to see it.
Yeah, it sucks for him, but, that's what ends up happening to most guys that tear their Achilles. And for the longest time in the NBA, the last guy that was able to do it and, come back and be better was Dominique Wilkins, the human highlight reel.
Oh,
Kevin Durant is now looking like the second, as he's, still looks like himself and can, actually be decent enough as with what he does. That I remember when he tore his Achilles, that thing was nasty. Do you remember seeing the replay?
Oh my God,
of that?
he tore it. Then they asked him to play.
He had a calf. They said it was like a calf strain, which it was. And then he went out.
It was so much more than that. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not buying that.
He was playing hurt. 100%.
I'm not buying the calf strain. There was so much more than that, and they didn't want to say it because they knew they needed him. Because this is when he was on the Warriors.
Yeah.
And they knew they needed him to win the series.
Mm-hmm.
against, was it Toronto?
Yeah, it was against Toronto.
And they forced him back in, and sure enough, then he goes and tears it.
I mean, you saw the slow motion replay of that. Like
it was ugly.
You
could see the whole.
Well, you saw Achilles, like you literally saw it snap up his leg, which I had never seen before. That is disgusting when you see that. But
no, it's your Achilles. So this summer I bruised it,
ooh,
and I was in a boot for about a week and a half.
Yeah,
just for precaution. I got lucky. I didn't tear anything, but just the bruise itself was the most uncomfortable thing and the biggest inconvenience. I can't even imagine what it's like to tear it and to go through like the rehab and everything like that. And because that's a big mental toll.
Oh yeah.
And to come back as the same person, that's impressive. And especially for a guy like Kevin Durant, who's got like no muscle to him.
Yeah. And then
it's pretty cool.
Exactly. And then tying that back, you know, the guy Mike Soroka, who tore it for the Braves, he was like their guy this year. And like, so the Braves have been riddled with injuries throughout this year. And then Charlie Morton to boot in the World Series. And, you know, they won 88 games, and it was like, okay, they're kind of like one of those fringe teams that, you know, it's like, guys had a good season, but just probably won't get the job done once he faced the real teams, which we all thought were the Dodgers and the Giants. And, you know, they ended up beating those guys. They beat the Brewers, they beat the Dodgers, which, you know, frankly, no one thought was going to happen. A lot of people had the Brewers in the World Series at some points. And the fact that the Braves were able to defy all odds and get here, you know, all the credit in the world to them, because, you know, frankly, everyone was doubting them. And there's that element of it. But like you said, it's because everyone freaking hates the Houston Astros.
Everyone hates. Yeah. So speaking from New England, from living in New England, you hear the Patriots cheat. Cheat. Everyone hates the Patriots. I don't think I've seen a team hated more than the Houston Astros right now.
Yeah.
It's like really bad because they literally just keep cheating, and these scandals keep coming out.
I mean, Tyler,
like, what is going on?
Here's the thing too, with the Patriots. I mean, not as much with like apologies and whatnot, but at least, you know, Brady kind of, you know, he was pissed off about the suspension, but there was like almost like a sincerity with it of them just being like, like, you know, if there was any wrongdoing, we'll take responsibility for it. And like, they didn't want to, but they like said, oh, we'll do whatever's necessary. We'll do this.
Because everyone hates the Patriots because we were better than you.
Exactly. So they were trying to, you know, like parrot that narrative and trying to say like, okay, we'll follow whatever procedures and do whatever's necessary. The Astros didn't do that. They kind of stuck their nose in the air and ended up saying, no, we're going to stand our ground. We're going to say that, you know, we were wrongfully kind of put in this situation. And they've almost used the cheating as a way to like rally themselves. And instead of saying like, oh, we got caught. Sorry guys. Like, we'll do it clean now. They've almost used it to be like, oh, people doubt us now. Now we're going to, you know, go out and we're going to prove them.
Now we're the underdogs.
Yeah.
Like no, you're not.
It's like, that was never the case. And, you know, we talked about it in our podcasting class with Mike Montecalvo.
Yeah.
You know, the one guy that's kind of made it out of this. Yeah, exactly. Shout out, Mike. The one guy that's made it out of this situation in pretty good shape has been Alex Cora. And you know, the main question was why. And it's because he seemed very apologetic and sincere about, you know, the situation. He came out and said, listen, I was in the wrong. I did the wrong thing. And now I want to take, you know, the responsibility for it and learn from it. And, you know, from what I can tell, the MLB doesn't, you know, and fans in general don't have too much of a problem with him now. It's different from, you know, a guy like Carlos Correa, which the league absolutely despises because, you know, he won't just say, oh yeah, we were doing something wrong and, you know, we have to take responsibility for it. Alex Cora did that and he's in good shape, and that's why these guys aren't.
Jose Altuve. I hate that guy.
Yeah,
but he's short. He's losing. He's losing. He's like 5'2".
Okay,
but like. My mom's also 5'2".
Yeah.
But like,
you love your mother?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But like, I hate short people. There's just like, grow.
With Jose Altuve, it literally turned. He went from having one of the most like, you know, like underdog stories that was like highly respected to just being like, you know,
because he's short, and then he was like. He's just one of the best players in the MLB.
MVP.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone, you know, I can guarantee you everybody doubted him because he's short. And it was like, no, you can't get the job done because, you know, he's going up against guys like Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge, who are both like 6'6" and like almost 300 pounds of straight muscle. And you got a guy like him. And it's cool to see because, you know, you don't want people getting,
it's a great story,
being like, oh, you're short, you can't play.
Yeah.
No, that's not right. You can't, what?
Yeah.
Even Kyler Murray's doing the same thing now too.
Exactly.
Kyler Murray's an MVP candidate.
Oh,
and he's 5'8".
He's like my favorite right now. I think that I think he might be my favorite. But
yeah, he's cool. But like,
but you're right.
But I just hate Jose Altuve.
Exactly. Because this whole cheating thing just completely,
changed the narrative for that entire organization.
Absolutely, it destroyed the reputation.
Players.
And one of the things I'm thinking about now is, they got to this World Series and, they got Framber Valdez, who was their ace pitcher, or at least, one of their top guys, got lit up in this game. Again, first swing of the game, Jorge Soler,
boom,
belts one.
Gone.
And I mean, I don't know if you saw Jorge Soler in batting practice. He was hitting absolute nukes at Minute Maid Park in batting practice. And I was like, you know what? Jorge Soler, he's kind of one of those guys that just has like that dumb power. If he connects, and he can, send a ball, and he did. And then, Austin Riley obviously had a great double as well. There were some great plays along the way, for them too. And then, after Morton, their bullpen got it done as well. So that they were able to, recover from the Morton injury and go from there. Now, what I got to ask you about is, being from the New England area and being, traditionally Red Sox fans on the show, what I have to ask you about is, Framber Valdez got shelled in the first game of this World Series. Got shelled in game one where we faced him. But when it came to game 5, which was actually a really, big game, he went 8 innings against us. 8.
Yeah.
And he only let up 1 run. It was a Rafael Devers home run in the 7th. But besides that, he had a perfect game going at one point.
Yeah. So some people are just like built for the moment.
Well, what I'm wondering is, listen, I was mentioning it to you before the show. One of the guys that I've talked with before is this guy named Joe LaFlamme. He's on TikTok. His TikTok name is hey_Kami. He does a thing over there, which is, and he breaks down a lot of baseball news over there. The main thing he focuses on is pitchers using foreign substance, which, to be frank, a lot of guys do that throughout the league. It's been pretty bad, but to be honest with you, he was one of the big guys that got the MLB, in my opinion, moving on, enforcing stuff around the league. I was listening to
forcing punishments and stuff.
Exactly. Because he was bringing so much attention to it, and he was getting these videos that had millions and millions of plays. It was kind of getting to the point where you couldn't ignore it anymore. And it was actually really cool. But what I was doing today is I was at work, and I was, just flipping between like Pat McAfee show, everything like this.
McAfee.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Literally, I was flipping between, everything, whatnot. And I come across, and I'm, listening to Felger and Maz. And I sometimes I'll tune into them, whatnot. And they end up playing a clip from this guy. And I'm like losing my mind, because I'm like, wait, like I've interviewed this guy 5 times on my show, and they're playing a clip of him talking about Framber Valdez and Luis Garcia, another pitcher on the Astros, possibly doctoring the ball, going to their hair, doing whatnot, and, saying how it's had an effect on this. So I proceed to text Kami and text Joel, and I say, hey, these guys are talking to you right now. And he goes, really? So he called in today to the radio show, and he ended up going on and like talking to them about it and saying, yeah, what? And he said, listen, Framber Valdez and Luis Garcia, they're cheating against the Red Sox. They were doing it. The RPM, which is, the rotations per minute on their balls and on their fastball, was up 200 RPM, which, again, I'm not the biggest sabermetric guy. I'm not too huge on it. But what that does is the ball can still go 97 miles an hour. A guy can still throw a ball 100 miles an hour. But if it has more rotations per minute on it, it has more life on it, and it can, tricks the hitter. It either makes a hitter think that a ball going down is just staying straight, or even a ball that's, going straight is even, has the appearance of moving upwards in the strike zone. It's, the amount of rotations that you cannot get on it, it's very deceptive for a lot of hitters. So, guys like Garrett Cole were doing this, where they were loading their fingers with spider tack. And he was saying that, Framber Valdez, he was doing this thing where I explained it during the last show. He was essentially like, wiping his biceps against his forehead after each inning, but when he would go to get a pitching check. But then during the innings, he was like taking something off his eyebrow, and then he would go and he would, was pitching 8 great innings. And what a lot of these guys came to the assumption of is that, maybe what Houston is doing is essentially, using these first couple games as a litmus test, saying like, okay, let's see where we're at. If Framber can go out and just like, do well enough and do good without cheating, perfect. Why would we want to risk it at first? But if it comes to the point where, hey, our season's on the line and we want to, we want to win a championship here, it might be like, okay, game 5, listen, man, you're going to go out and you're going to load up with whatever crap you can find on you. And, you're going to just pitch your tail off. And if it comes down to it and you get ejected from a game, it's 10 games, but guess what? You're going to help us win a World Series.
Yeah. They're basically saying, just take one for the team. Here, go cheat.
Exactly.
Take one for the team. We're trying to win a World Series. Go cheat.
And listen,
cheaters don't win.
Yeah, and
cheaters never win because you're eventually going to get caught.
Yeah,
and I have a huge problem with when you get caught. Just own up to it.
Yeah,
what can you really say? I mean, you're caught. You're stuck, man. Come on, own up to it. There's so much proof, and again, like the Astros before cheating.
Yeah,
everybody knew it, and Carlos Correa still didn't own up to it, and still won't like apologize for it. And it's like, dude, you're like 20 or 30 something.
Own up.
Act it.
Exactly.
Act it, man. And you're caught. Just be like, all right, you know what? I did it, and learn from it, and just move on.
Yeah.
And what they just can't seem to move on, and they just keep cheating. It seems like.
Yeah. And with this guy I was talking to, Joel, that I was telling you about, he ended up saying that when Houston got enforced for the trash can banging, they never got enforced for their foreign substance use because he was saying like, in terms of being on a large scale, Houston was some of the first guys to, be doing the spider tack. And it started with it didn't start with Garrett Cole in New York. Garrett Cole got paid that $300 million salary because of him cheating on the mound in Houston. He was doing it there. And he was getting those numbers. And one guy he's pointed out has been Houston Astros pitching coach. His name's Brent Strom. And, that's not a name a lot of people are going to know. He's a pitching coach. It's a very unknown name. But what he was saying is, listen, Brent Strom has been around the league for a while. And he ended up saying, I don't know if you know the name Trevor Bauer. I don't know if that comes to mind by any chance.
Oh, yeah. The Dodgers pitcher.
Yeah.
He's in a big scandal.
He's in a big scandal.
He's in a whole completely different situation.
Different type of scandal going on with Trevor Bauer. But
continue.
What happened with Trevor Bauer is, he had like an ERA in the 4s. He was just kind of like a middle of the road pitcher for a long time. And he was exposing a lot of these guys for saying like, hey, these guys are using foreign substance. And he was saying what it is. And he even said to himself, hey, if I go out and I use this stuff and they're not checking me, I could win a Cy Young with this. So what did he do? He went to Cincinnati after saying that, and he won a Cy Young. He won the award for best pitcher in 2020 because he knew what he could do with the proper stuff on his fingers. And he got a very, very lucrative contract for the Dodgers. Obviously now in a situation all on his own, but he proved just how effective it is. So, it has its effects. It has its effects on different pitchers. And why?
Because you can put stuff on, like the back of your neck. I remember Yankees pitcher long time ago.
Yeah,
I used to see it on YouTube all the time. But they put stuff like on the back of their neck and they rub it. And it's like Vaseline or something like that. It makes the ball curve like a couple extra maybe like inches.
Yeah, but
and
listen,
that's huge.
It's a game of inches. If your fastball breaks 2 more inches or your curveball breaks 2 more inches, it's a game changer.
Huge game changer because you're sitting there as a batter and you're like, well, the ball can't possibly. It's literally physically impossible for the ball to curve this much.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it does, and you're like, whoa,
and it completely changes your approach to the plate. So even guys that are pitching clean, you can't adjust to that.
It completely changes your
mindset as a hitter.
Your mindset, but it changes your game plan. You're like, oh my God, I have to step back and change my entire plan that I was going to go do this entire series.
No, exactly. You're right. And when I was thinking about it, Charlie Blackmon, who's he's a outfielder for the Rockies. And he said at one point, with guys doing this stuff, what you're typically used to doing is, you'd swing and aim for the barrel to line up with the baseball. And, that's how you hit.
That's normal.
With him, what he's saying is what he said now is, essentially you have to aim above the baseball because of the way that this stuff is coming at you. It's because the ball, it deceives your mind. So you have to almost like aim above the baseball when you're swinging and then hope that you can hit it. It's a very weird thing, but that's what's happening with a lot of guys.
It's like they're just swinging to swing because they don't know where it's going anymore because of all the substances that these guys are using. Yeah.
And going back to Trevor Bauer, which I mentioned to you, the reason I brought him into the situation is the Houston Astros pitching coach Brent Strom. When Bauer was 14 and in high school, Strom approached him and ended up saying, hey, if you want to get a better grip on the ball, what you got to do is you have to boil down Coca-Cola and then use it as a foreign substance. Like this guy has
just got a book written about cheating.
He has all the tricks up his sleeve. And listen, AJ Hinch suspended, Jeff Lunau, got suspended. The GM there, Alex Cora got suspended. Carlos Beltran got fired for all the things they did. But this guy never got punished for it. And he's still doing this stuff in Houston. They never went after him. So, Houston essentially saying, okay, you got us on one thing, but we still have this up our sleeve. And they've never been able to stop it.
it just makes me wonder what's going on with the MLB. I mean, this is just one circumstance, but they also, it's not that popular.
Yeah.
And it should be, because look at these guys that are playing right now, these young guys.
Yeah.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani.
Tatis.
Fernando Tatis. These guys all have just their charisma. They have something to them that is just completely brand new.
They have an energy.
This is a huge marketing, chance for, market these guys, use these guys, because they're young, they're talented, they have great personalities, they're great guys to be around, but they're not doing that. And, they're suffering the consequences of it by, not being as popular during the regular season. I get it. There's a lot of games, but still, these guys have a lot of talent and they need to utilize it. And this just goes to show there's all this cheating going on and they're not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you see cheating in the NFL and they immediately hop right on it and they're like, we need to investigate this now.
Well, I mean, especially, listen,
I don't know what's going on.
Well, what I think now, what is happening is the MLB, they probably, I think the MLB is inept, but I don't think they're stupid. They can tell.
I think they're stupid.
No, but here's the thing. I think they're stupid, but they can tell that there's something going on with these pitchers. They're not completely oblivious to it. They know what's going on. But what I think is happening is they realize, hey, if we bust a guy for cheating in the World Series, that's essentially going to illegitimize our entire season, regardless of whether it has been already due to foreign substance and steroids and whatnot. That essentially, if you bust a guy for cheating in your championship series, like the coup de grace of your season,
it's going to tank a lot of stuff.
It's going to, your ratings are already in the toilet. So, I mean, it's going to just destroy your reputation. And,
they're sitting your ratings are sitting in the toilet now. And if you do that, you're going to actually flush them.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Gone, fully gone.
I mean, if I think they're averaging 10 million viewers, I think was 10.5 million was the average for game one. Thursday Night Football is making getting 22 million.
Yeah, that's Thursday Night Football. No one really watches Thursday Night Football.
Exactly. And that's getting more views than the World Series. So
that says a lot.
So if you bust a guy for cheating, especially a pretty solid pitcher, for it in the middle of the World Series, you're screwed. So what I think what a lot of these guys are doing, I don't know if it's a kind of a handshake deal, but I feel like people have learned by now. All right, the umpires, they're going to check your hat, they're going to check your glove, and they're going to check your belt.
Anything they're going to check everything. They need to. They need
to, but I think that's what they're doing. I think they're saying, all right, hat, your glove, your belt, and then we're going to send you on your way because we don't want to find anything else on you. Don't make us find anything because if we do, it's going to ruin the entire product.
And that's just a sad reality that it's come to. I mean,
and listen, I don't think this is just the Astros.
Money has ruined sports.
Oh,
and
no.
That's just one of them. They don't want to lose all this money.
No, they don't. And listen,
you're also going to lose the integrity of your sport.
Yeah. And let me say this. I don't think this is just the Astros. I think this is the entire MLB.
This is everybody. I can guarantee you it's going on in the Red Sox too.
Oh, no.
And we just don't know.
Listen,
don't know it.
That guy, Joel, I was talking about, he made a video on Martin Perez. And listen, Martin Perez has kind of been, a terrible pitcher. Sorry, Martin.
Yeah.
But 2020, he wasn't bad. And, this wasn't really getting talked about a lot in 2020. Perez Day was kind of like a fun little thing that they had going on. And in some of these games down the stretch, Perez got it together in a couple of games here and there. And what he pointed out is he said, hey, look, Martin Perez is sweating in straight lines, or that's something else on his neck. And he pointed out, and it's like, okay, yeah, Martin Perez has been one of those guys that did it. Because as soon as that got enforced, he ended up getting sent to the bullpen as a result of it. He fell off a cliff.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's 100% going on with the Red Sox. It's going on with everybody. But I think especially, with the Astros, with everything they've done, what is going to stop them at this point? It took them 2 years before they even got, results, essentially 3 before, there was anything even done with them. What's going to stop them from something really nuanced like this?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And
because they know they can get away with it.
Exactly. And foreign substance.
And they're just going to keep going. They're just going to keep doing it.
It's also in one of those areas too, where it's like one of the unwritten rules of baseball where you can kind of have something on your hand, but don't make it too obvious. And, when MLB enforce it, they're trying to figure out where to, get around the rule with it. Houston's always going to be a step ahead of that. Cause listen, when you're a cheater, you're trying to always, think a step ahead of the people making the rules.
Yeah. But there's also, I say this when it comes to when people say the Patriots cheated, I'm like, yeah, well, I can guarantee you they looked at the rule book and they're like, all right, well, it doesn't say we can't do this. Yeah. So they're basically going around the rule book. Yeah. And it's the same thing with the Astros. Mm-hmm. They're reading the rules and they're understanding the rules.
Well, I mean, banging on trash cans was a little different.
But way more than other people. And they're just going around it a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what it's good. I think that's what they're doing. And then they're getting away with. They're just getting away with it.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, and unfortunately,
that's why everyone hates the Astros.
You could make the case if it cost them the Red Sox their season this year. That's you could call that a part of it. But listen, the Red Sox went cold, and again,
their bats went.
They went, everything. They were silent, and
everything.
And listen, I think a little foreign substance could play a role in that, but at the end of the day,
good question. Answer the question we'll never get the answer to.
Oh no, you'll never get the answer to it. But at the same time, you had Houston, begging for mercy after 3 games, and
then you were playing in Fenway Park.
Mm-hmm. You went off on them, and you were scoring you had grand slams in
2 grand slams in a game, and then the next game another grand slam.
You were going off offensively, and then after that, absolute nothing happened.
Their watering hole dried up.
They had Tyler. Over the last 26 innings that they played on their season, they had 1 run. It was the Rafael Devers home run.
It's just so sad.
That was it. After, and I'm saying that after Xander Bogaerts hit that 2-run home run in the bottom of the bottom of the first inning, they scored 1 run over their final 26 innings.
It's just crazy.
That doesn't seem statistically possible, especially with this Red Sox team. That doesn't
not with the way they were swinging their bats. Before.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and listen, that's kind of a problem because it kind of begs the question, do you want to be having these offensive explosions, 12, 14 runs a game, or do you want to be consistent and just say, hey, if we can get 5, 6 runs a game, we're going to be in good shape. If we can consistently get that, maybe go over and maybe have a little over, a little under here and there, we're going to put ourselves in good shape. The Red Sox were the former. They were, hit or miss, the definition of it. They were either they
were red hot fire, or they were just cold.
Exactly.
And cold and cold.
And I got to tell you, this Red Sox team, we didn't have any hope for them going into this year. This was a treat. I will say this.
Yeah. It was nice. It was a good time.
I thought the Red Sox were going to be awful this year, but I think that you can readjust your expectations and say, with everything they did, they could have, made more moves. I think that bullpen help and possibly, some other just pitching help at the deadline would have helped you all around. But I think you're in good shape. This team kind of reminds me in a sense, a little bit of a, modern day version of the 2003 Red Sox, where, you didn't have all the pieces together yet, but you were close enough that, one big signing here and one big signing and, maybe one trade down the line, you're
a contender for everything.
You're the guy, essentially.
Yeah.
It was my thought.
You're the team to beat.
Exactly. And, I've talked with this about Robert Shelley of the Pesky Pole podcast, and he said that, the Red Sox need a Curt Schilling now. We need that guy to come in free agency and be that guy. And I don't know if that's a Max Scherzer that we can lure here. I think he wants to stay on the West Coast. So,
we need a guy that screams Boston. We need a guy that screams. We haven't had that in a while. And then we got David Ortiz loves Boston, screams Boston, loves everything to do with the city. And, you got guys for the Celtics, love Boston. You got a guy for the Bruins, Marchand. Loves Boston.
Absolutely.
Bergeron loves Boston. And, Celtics, you got Tatum.
Oh, yeah.
He loves it here. Absolutely loves it. Marcus Smart loves it. But they don't have that guy that really, is the stud that is.
Kike loves Boston, but, let's be frank.
But he's not
he's
a big star.
He's a 242 career hitter.
Yeah, but we need a star. Yeah. That has that passion that just eat, sleeps, and breathes Boston.
Yeah,
because it rallies the fans, it rallies the team, it rallies just everybody around them. And it's the energy I think we need because it's a game changer.
I mean, I do think that Bogaerts and Devers are those guys. If you could go get a guy that in your mind screams Boston, who is that guy then?
See, that's the thing. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah,
it's just gonna come. It's gonna come when it comes, and it's the matter of when is it gonna come.
Yeah.
We need that stud.
They're going to need to make a splash, and I wonder who they can go out and get. I think there are definitely some bullpen pieces we can get. I
love Devers.
Oh, I love Devers too.
And Bogaerts, but I think we're missing a bigger star. I feel like
I wouldn't mind getting Marcus Semien of the Toronto Blue Jays. He's going to pit him. He's going to frame himself and say he's a shortstop in free agency, but I think he'll take shortstop money to play second, which could be an issue. But we are the Boston Red Sox. We have a ton of money on payroll. We can pay a guy like that, and he was a stud for Toronto this year, and also has proven it in past seasons too with the Oakland Athletics. So
there you go.
We haven't had a solid. We unfortunately haven't had a solid second baseman in Boston since Manny Machado absolutely, butchered Dustin Pedroia's knee. So I think that we definitely need we definitely need something.
I miss
here.
him. I loved him.
We need a guy that can fill the role. I don't think, platooning Christian Arroyo and all these different guys there is the answer.
I think we need a guy that has experience being in certain situations, like maybe being in a World Series, things like that. Like obviously Devers and Bogarts have been to a World Series, but I think they're still young. I think we need a little bit more experience, and then that like a big name. Yeah. But could I tell you who that is? No.
Okay.
But I think that's a question that the Red Sox need to answer.
No,
who can we bring in that's going to change the dynamic of
I
this
wouldn't mind
Marcus
Semien. I mean, Max Scherzer's asking for a lot out of the bullpen. Kendall Graveman, who just whooped you in these playoffs for the Astros, wouldn't be a bad guy to pick up, especially
definitely
kind of take away from the guy that's hurting you and add him to your lineup. That's never like the worst idea to do. So there are plenty of options for the Red Sox in free agency. I'm wondering if Chaim Bloom will actually be willing to spend on it, or if he's going to stick with his Moneyball philosophy of adding guys here, doing little things here, because
doing a little bit of
let's be frank,
Belichick mentality.
Let's be frank. If the Braves either pull off the World Series or like lose in a tough one, then you might be able to make the case as a Red Sox fan of just saying like, okay, like at least like you didn't have to, suffer that kind of a defeat and have to hang your head on that. But if the Astros from here just go on and win 4 and just like absolutely, destroy the Braves from this point forward, as a Red Sox fan, you got to be angry at yourself because, it felt like you freaking had one in the bag.
Oh, we did, because we won a game in Houston, and then we had 3 in a row in Boston. Well, in the playoffs.
Not even that. I'm not talking about Houston essentially, but more the fact it's less about blowing against Houston, but more if Atlanta just gets dominated by the Astros. If you can see yourself doing what Atlanta did to them, that's where you get angry because it's like we freaking had them on the ropes and we let it go.
Yeah,
we could have honestly been the World Series champs this year if Atlanta folds like how a lot of people think they could.
Yeah. It puts a lot of what ifs.
Oh yeah,
in your head.
And listen, I can't run through all those scenarios. So, but before we do end up going though today, for the last couple minutes of the show, I do want to talk to you about some NFL news. And obviously, the Patriots had a absolute walloping of the Jets on Sunday. They ended up winning 54-13. And my God, Tyler, you were at this game. How did you feel about what was your reaction to this whole scene?
Oh, I was having a great time,
Yeah.
I had a lot to eat actually, which was bad. But it was great to see, especially Mac Jones performing well. He made a lot of smart decisions with the ball. And I noticed they started to use the tight ends a lot more. Yeah. And Damian Harris, they used a lot of their new weapons, which I love to see. They used Kendrick Bourne through a touchdown pass to Nelson Aguilar. I didn't see that coming. No. I was in the stands and I'm like, what did I just witness?
Yeah, did you kind of have to do like a double take on that?
Yeah, I was like, was that Kendrick Bourne or
throwing a
Jacoby
pass?
Myers?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so confused, but it was awesome to see. And like I said, using their tight ends, those are two last year specifically, those were 2 of the best tight ends in the league.
Yes. And
now they're both on the same team, and they were using Jonnu Smith in the backfield. That man is an insane athlete. I love to see it. He ran the ball a couple times and just absolutely stiff-armed a guy and made him do a somersault, like just threw him.
Oh yeah,
it's awesome. Hunter Henry had a great one-handed catch in the end zone.
Yeah, I'm glad they're using their weapons more, because that was a big thing with me going into into the season, because Hunter Henry was like a non-factor for the first couple of weeks.
No, I didn't. I totally forgot he was on the team.
Yeah, it was like, where the hell is Hunter Henry? Like we need. Like,
where's Jonnu Smith?
Yeah, well,
where's Nelson Aguilar?
Jonnu Smith was his own thing too, because like he was just like, I remember him against the Saints. He was.
I don't even want to talk about that.
He was a butcher in that game.
Oh my God!
I was like, we paid how much money for this guy? Like, you got to be
can't
joking.
Even catch a pass.
Exactly. So I'm glad that he seems like he's turning it around. But with
everything was rolling and going their way, and the defense looked okay, I saw a lot of bright spots from like, especially JC Jackson.
Yeah.
Obviously, the number one cornerback now. And then like Jamie Collins. I love seeing him back.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Van Noy. The linebackers played great. And I think the defense up front played pretty well, getting to the quarterback and putting pressure on him.
I was very impressed with what the team did tonight. Now again, it was against a Pee-wee blind.
It was against like a Pop Warner.
It was against a Pee-wee blind flag football team. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Who's playing with their backup quarterback?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing too. Zach Wilson went down in this game, so I'm like, this kind of felt like the bully at the schoolyard, and for
we put in Brian Hoyer and still scored.
Exactly, and to be honest with you, for the most part this year, the Patriots have kind of been the ones getting bullied. So
I disagree with that.
Yeah,
they played one hell of a game against Dallas. Yeah. They got screwed on a no face mask call, and I'm still annoyed at that. But they lost. But they played a great game. They came down to the wire.
Thanks for the name check.
There you go. They went down to the wire against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are the reigning Super Bowl champions, and Mac Jones went toe to toe with the GOAT. They went like touchdown for touchdown, and it was amazing to see. This team has a great future, and I hate when people are like, "Oh, the Patriots are terrible. They lost. Well, look at these games they're losing. They're not by a lot."
Yeah,
the only game that we got blown out was New Orleans, and it's New Orleans. Yeah, we played a terrible game. Yeah, I get it.
We still also were in a nail biter though with the Houston freaking Texans too.
Yeah, but even when Tom Brady was here, we almost lost a game to the Browns once, and they were like 0-15, and we're like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah,
it happens. It's also the National Football League,
mm-hmm.
So things like that happen. But they're playing,
which the Jets don't belong in, by the way. They don't belong in the National Football League.
Let's put the Alabama Crimson Tide up in here.
Yeah,
but they're playing well, and I think they're utilizing all their skills to what they're doing, and they're not making Mac Jones do anything he's not comfortable doing. And once he gets rolling, they're like, all right, you know what? We're going to try something a little different and try it. And they're just throwing in little things like that. Maybe they're throwing in huge deep balls. They're like, all right, we don't want you necessarily to throw it deep because, a lot of bad things happens when rookies throw the ball deep sometimes. They don't go their way ever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's showing just I love Mac Jones.
Oh,
I have nothing but praise for this man.
Mm-hmm.
He is playing amazing for a rookie, and I love it. And they made this such a good call drafting him.
Oh my god!
And I was like, I want Tua the year before, and now
Tua's a nightmare.
I don't. Yeah, he's a nightmare. But I'm like, wow, they knew what they were doing. They got the guy they wanted, and they stuck with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it all in the news. He is set up to be the best quarterback in the class. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
He's just stuck in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But he's going to be here a while. And I this is awesome.
Yeah. No.
They looked great.
Yeah.
And if they can do that, now it's just, you got to do that against good teams. They got the Chargers coming up next.
Yeah. Do you think that, with an absolute blowout like this, can the Patriots even really build off this? Like,
I think mentally they can.
Yeah.
I think it's a big win for Mac Jones. Huge win because he played insanely well and got pulled. And they're like, all right, you're done, dude. Like, even though you're a rookie, we're pulling you because you're playing awesome.
Yeah.
That's a huge pat on the back and a huge compliment.
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing, though. The Patriots now, they need to show some, at least, I'm not saying that they have to win, but obviously that'd be nice. But they need to show some serious improvement in this game against the Chargers, because if they just go out and get waxed again, they're gonna look foolish for beating up on the Jets. If they can't if they can't improve it at all in this next coming game, and it doesn't look like they've learned a thing, but it's like, oh, you beat the Jets, then I don't know. I think that you're gonna look kind of stupid for that.
They've got 4 tough games coming up.
Yes,
they've got the Chargers, then they go to Carolina, which is but they can still get beat, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Then Cleveland comes here.
Stephon Gilmore will be on the other side of the field now.
But then Cleveland comes here.
Yeah.
And then they got Atlanta. In Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's going to be still a tough game.
Oh, yeah.
But then they got Tennessee and then Buffalo.
Yeah.
They need to win, at least 3 of these games?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And they need to at least beat either the Chargers, the Browns, the Titans, or the Bills. They need to beat at least 2 of those teams.
Yeah.
To be like, all right, this team could actually
make
a playoff push.
Do you think they can do it with what you've seen this year?
I think they can. I think they're getting screwed on some bad calls.
Yeah.
And obviously, Nick Folk missed a kick in the rain. I'm not gonna. Circumstances didn't line up for that.
Yeah,
but
for me,
they're playing well and they're playing smart.
For me, I'm gonna need to see. I need to see something this week against the Chargers because listen,
I need to see something out of the defense.
The Jets is like playing the third string team of any NFL team. So I want to see some actual improvement in this Chargers game. Otherwise, I can't see how I can have enough faith in this team this year. They just haven't proven it to me so far.
I don't have faith in the defense. I have a lot of faith in the offense. The offense is playing well.
Yeah.
Granted all the offensive line problems.
But
they when they're rolling. Oh, they are unstoppable. Damian Harris, good luck tackling that guy. Good luck tackling Jonnu Smith if he gets the ball. And Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar, good luck catching him. Kendrick Bourne, good luck catching him. If there's a wide open space, they're gone.
Yeah.
But this defense is letting up too many points.
Mm-hmm.
And like Kyle Duggar needs to step up.
Yeah. I'm worried about this
Collins
defense.
Needs to get back to the old Jamie Collins we know and love. Granted, 2 games back. He'll find his way again, but it's got to come quick.
Yes.
We need him. We need that Jamie Collins back from like 2016 and before.
Yeah.
Kyle Van Noy needs to step up. And JC Jackson, he's been playing well. But on the other side, like Devin McCourty, he's got to step up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole defense itself needs to step up. And that's where is my biggest issue is the defense. The offense, when they're rolling, they're rolling. But it's that defense that scares me.
Yeah.
Because, you got a guy like Justin Herbert who's lighting up the league. And you got a guy like Ryan Tannehill with all his weapons. Derrick Henry's coming here.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to be a fun time.
No.
And then Josh Allen's coming here. That's not going to be a fun time either. And then Matt Ryan. We go up against Matt Ryan. He's not – I get it. He's kind of he's getting older. But he's seen so many things in this league. He will destroy you with his brain.
Oh yeah, if you give him the wrong opportunity, then he'll
pick you apart.
So listen, this team was predicated on being able to be sound defensively because that's what Bill's primary focus is. If they can do that, then if they can somehow get that together, then I'll start to believe in them. But
it's the penalties.
But they did just lose Jonathan Jones for the year. They are
that's a tough loss.
Yeah, they're one of the fastest guys on the team. They're losing a bunch of guys all around the place. So if they can find a way to rally behind that and the offense shows improvement, then maybe it'll give me something to believe in. But unfortunately, Tyler, it is now 7:59 p.m. here in the Koffler Center, and we are now down to the wire. So we're going to do a quick run through of what we talked about in this episode, and then we will send you guys on your way. Obviously, thank you guys for tuning into the best Braves podcast on earth. We really do appreciate it. Got to talk about them in their game 1 against the Houston Astros. Got the 6-2 dub over Houston. Unfortunately, Charlie Morton is now going to be out for the year with a broken right fibula. And also in MLB news, we talked about the
quick recovery for him too.
Yeah, he's
praying for a quick recovery.
He should hopefully be ready for spring training of 2022, which is actually good to hear. He's 37 years old. Hopefully, he can recover from it. But also in MLB news, we talked about the Houston Astros most likely cheating again, as well as the Atlanta Braves becoming the team of destiny this year. And finally, in MLB news, we talked about the Red Sox, their unfortunate season coming to an end, and what they need to do in free agency. In NFL news, we talked about Mac Jones and the Patriots absolutely destroying the Jets 54-13, and we talked about how they can improve going forward. But if you guys are not following Down to the Wire at this point, what are you guys doing? We are available anywhere you guys can find podcasts. We're available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. But the main hub you can reach us through is our Instagram at down.tothewire. Again, at down.tothewire. Hope you guys go and follow us there. But from Down to the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
And Tyler Stringfellow.
And we will see you guys next time. Take care.